Welcome back to Rumi Gold, where quiet mastery begins. What if the answer wasn't in another strategy, but in the space between your thoughts? What if the richest men were just the ones who learned to make their breath more expensive than their time? What if your bank balance could never outrun your internal peace? What if every goal you're chasing is already circling you, just waiting for you to slow down enough to notice? Let that sit for a moment. Today we explore wealth, not as a tactic, but as a truth that lands quiet and unshakable. So let's go back to a scene you might know too well. A founder, up late again, eyes stinging from the blue glow of his screen, calendars crowded, a bank account that fills and empties faster than any promise made in haste. Even when money came, he felt it leave, chasing numbers, missing mornings, until one day he breaks, not loudly but quietly, like a thread finally snapping under too much strain. He picks a silent retreat, not to run, but to finally listen, to feel what ambition had disguised. The first day, it's just his hands, cold on his knees, his mind screaming, do more, his heart barely audible under all that noise. Minute by minute, he does less. 5 minutes with nothing but his breath. 5 mornings, 5 weeks. Here's the shift that can't be measured, but you feel it. The noise grew quiet. Hunger softened. Something deeper, a currency older than credit, started to pulse. His business grew, yes, but what actually grew was him. Presence became his profit. Money came, stayed, then built. There's nothing to prove. Where, right now, are you overworking what was always meant to come quietly? Where have you traded simple alignment for loud effort? Let that breathe. You already feel it, the pull to be busy, to prove, to pursue. But listen, the richest energy is the stillest. The calmest room holds the most weight. Today, we'll walk through 3 quiet rituals. 1 morning alignment, 1 energetic clearing, 1 decision rule. It's not hustle, it's magnetism. You don't chase, you become the thing that's chased. There's something here, stay with it. You were probably taught that money is something you have to catch, like a wild animal, something that's always escaping, always running, just out of reach. You put in the hours, stack stress like bricks in your chest. You sweat and you sacrifice, convinced the pain earns you closeness to it. But chasing is a signal to your system. It says, I don't have what I need. It's subtle. It creeps into the way you take jobs you don't want, or say yes to work that pays less than you know you're worth, just because saying no feels too risky. You stay late, you send another email, you underestimate yourself when you set your prices, thinking, if I ask for more, they'll walk away. Let that echo. Every time you do that, you're not just losing money, you're broadcasting lack. It's like trying to fill your cup by holding it under a closed faucet. More effort doesn't open the flow. Even when your body is exhausted, your nervous system is tense, your thoughts are noisy. Still, the truth sits there. Money isn't earned by running harder. Money follows clarity, not chaos. Some people flip to the other side. They read, they meditate, they try to be above money. They act as if their worth shouldn't be measured, that needing or enjoying money is beneath them. But inside, there's guilt, there's judgment. When bills come, or when opportunities arrive, they shrink back, afraid the game will make them impure. That's just another disguise of scarcity. That's the discipline. Both sides miss the core. Hustling weakens the vessel. Avoidance cuts the wires. But wealth, the quiet kind, lives in alignment. It's a posture. It's the way a builder stands before touching stone. It's not about chase or about hiding, just about meeting money without fear and letting it move, like breath in, breath out. There's no drama, no need to prove. You already know this. When there's no noise about worth, when you're not shrinking, not stretching, not apologizing, something steady moves through you. You remember, money, like energy, looks for clear paths. And your field a bit lighter, a bit quieter, begins to hold more. That's alignment. Let that land. Most of us wake up and reach for the world before we've even arrived in our own skin. What happens if you build your day before the noise builds you? What if your first move set the tone, not just for the hours, but for who you become? What if you could shape the day, like clay in strong hands? How different would your life look if 5 minutes at sunrise carried more weight than 100 decisions in daylight? Let that question land. Picture this: the sun doesn't rush. Every morning it rises with a kind of authority. First, darkness, then a slow glow at the edge of everything. Breath by breath, the day becomes itself. That's the discipline. Your morning is no different. Before the world floods your phone, before you scan headlines or swipe through messages, sit with yourself. Sit like a seed in deep soil, unmoved, not eager to break the surface. Place a hand on your heart, eyes closed. Let your feet touch the floor. 3 breaths for yesterday, letting go of all the noise that came before. 3 breaths for right now, finding center underneath all plans, all memories, and 3 breaths for what's possible. Tuning into the abundance you never had to earn. It doesn't matter what yesterday gave or took. You get to start again each morning, just like the sun, just like those seeds hidden in the dark, building something true where nobody else can see it. This isn't about motivation. This isn't positive thinking. You're not forcing a mood or chasing a high. You're tuning like a guitar before a show, like a craftsman sharpening a chisel before daylight hits his workbench. You only need 5 minutes, but in that 5 minutes, the rest of the day finds its shape. When you start with inner alignment, you begin to say no to what breaks that signal. You start noticing which projects feel heavy, which people pull your energy. You begin to make decisions from a grounded place. Soon it gets obvious. Energy always comes before action. Foundation comes before anything you build. Always. There's nothing to prove. When the world feels scrambled, start at the root. Every sunrise, every seed, every man who builds anything worth keeping starts the same way. Still, quiet, present. You already know this. Most people treat money like a closed system, as if it sits in a ledger, unmoving, just numbers and totals to control. But that's not quite the truth. Money is a current, the word itself, currency. Underneath it all, money is like water, meant to flow, to change, to rinse and carry, to refresh what gets stale. The second ritual I keep is currency clearing, simple, nightly. Each evening, I sit like a man on the bank of a moonlit river. I ask, where am I dammed up? What's weighing heavy on the flow? Did I feel underpaid, unappreciated? Did I overspend on something that wasn't true for me? Instead of turning away from these places, I picture them with clarity. I witness them as stones dropped into the current. Each stone is a piece of hidden resentment or guilt over a decision, or the old ache of fear. Some nights I discover more stones than I expected. There's no shame, it's just maintenance. like sweeping leaves from the garden path. I bring the feeling up, let it show itself, even if it stings. I hold it, not as a problem, but as something ready to be rinsed, gentle, steady. Then I let the current do its work. I picture a sacred river, alive with light, moving over and through those stones. The water is honest. It doesn't force, it doesn't rush. One of my clients, she charged less than her worth and held warmth for her work, but quietly resented her clients. Night after night, she met that heaviness at the river's edge. She began to rinse it, not to banish, but to let gratitude and clarity loosen the stone. The flow returned. New decisions, more honest rates, less bitterness, came naturally. Quiet freedom, not dramatic, just real. This isn't about motivation. Money carries memory. Old stories, old wounds, old limits. They settle if you let them. Clearing them calls you back to your own river. You don't dig for pain. You sweep what's present. You thank what needs releasing. You lighten the current so your wealth can circulate cleanly again. Let that land. Most chase harder but never clean the channel. Quietmen.com men know the difference. They sweep water, not just numbers. Each night I return to this practice. Sit down, breathe, scan, and let the sacred river do what only flow can do. That's the discipline. What if every choice you made today quietly decided the size of your future? What if abundance wasn't a mystery, but a habit, repeated one clear decision at a time? What if the way you choose right now shapes the field you live in tomorrow? People think wealth is complicated, but the monk's way is cleaner. Discipline over drama, expansion over contraction. That's the territory we're in now. The decision rule of abundance. It's not about having perfect reasons. It's about being honest. Does this action make me bigger or smaller? Does it feel like faith, or is it just fear camouflaged as logic? One breath before any decision. That's the ritual. Every time I was tempted to overthink, I would stop just for a second and check the compass in my chest, expand or contract. It sounds simple, but simple is not the same as easy. Let's take business out of the room for a minute. Think about grocery shopping. You're standing in front of two kinds of bread, one you actually want, one that feels like you're cutting corners. The first is a little more expensive, maybe healthier, something you'd enjoy deeply. The second, you pick because you're worried about a few dollars, or carry the old story that you shouldn't want too much. Stand there and ask, does this buy feel like expansion, or is it just more of the same shrinking? Sometimes, picking the better bread is the abundance decision. Not about spending recklessly, just about not shrinking when you could open. You already know the feeling. That's the discipline. I've seen entrepreneurs spend weeks analyzing, missing the moment. Their nervous system so used to tightness, they don't recognize when faith is safer than fear. One man said yes to his calling, not just a project. Abundance wasn't a gift, it was a side effect of expanding again and again. That's the quiet power nobody teaches. It doesn't have to be dramatic to be true. Try walking through your day, asking before every choice, does this expand me or close me? If it's contraction, pause. That's the recalibration. Over time, those small moments compound. Suddenly, life gets bigger. Not in noise or flash, but a quiet field where you can finally breathe. Let that land. So we've sat together in a quiet room, morning after morning. 5 minutes realignment before the world even knocks. At night the clearing. like sweeping the slate before rest. A single rule for every choice. Does it multiply or drain? Your trust, not hustle, not a tactic, just a remembering of who you already are. Let that land. Money isn't outside of you. It's not a scoreboard or a wolf at the door. It isn't louder than your breath or sharper than silence. It's spirit, made solid, just clay shaped by your hands. When you move steady, life bends in. When you stop forcing, doors open on their own. This is how a man becomes magnetic. Not in a room full of noise, but sitting clear and letting gravity do what it does. Try it tomorrow. Stand like stone, steady for 5 minutes. Watch how one aligned act can shift a whole day. Practice the nightly clearing and feel clutter dissolve. Life gets simple. Not easy, but simple. That's the discipline. I honor the value I bring. I honor the value I bring. My wealth roots in clarity. My wealth roots in clarity. I move with grounded intent. I move with grounded intent. Opportunities find me in stillness. Opportunities find me in stillness. I protect my peace like fire. I protect my peace like fire. I act from inner fullness, not lack. I act from inner fullness, not lack. Money flows where I pay calm attention. Money flows where I pay calm attention. Abundance echoes the way I treat myself. Abundance echoes the way I treat myself. I lead from clarity. I lead from clarity. I lead from clarity. Now, just notice how even the darkest room is shaped by a single lit lantern. Your inner wealth already here, already enough illuminates in the softest ways. Quiet power makes the way clear. Walk lightly until we meet again. Let that echo